Lesson 13.a, substitution. When we have two equations and two unknowns, two variables, usually x and y, one of the ways we can solve that is to use substitution. Let's take example 13.1. We have two equations, x equals y plus 5, and 3x plus 2y equals 5. Put a little curly symbol there to show that those two equations go together. So here's the steps that you do for substitution. You take one of your equations and you rearrange it for one variable so that you've got either x all by itself equals something, or you can do it for y equals something. Now in this case here, one of our equations is already set up that way. Yay, one less thing for us to do. Yeah. We already have an equation that has one of the variables all by itself on one side of the equal sign. So what we do next then is we're going to take that, the fact that x equals this, and we're going to plug that into the other equation. So if x equals this, we're going to substitute this nastiness in for x in the other equation. So here's our other equation. We've got 3 times x, and x is y plus 5, plus 2y equals 5. You write out the whole other equation. You just substitute or replace the variable that you solved for the other side of that equation. Okay. And then, so we plug that in, and then we solve for whatever variable we have. So by doing that, we now have one equation that only has one variable, it has a y. So now that means we can actually solve for y. And we're going to do that in green. All right, so we've got 3 times x, which is y plus 5. I got parentheses here, I need to distribute. So I've got 3y plus 3 times 5 is 15, and then the rest of it, plus 2y equals 5. All right, combine my like terms. I've got 3y plus 2y is 5y plus 15 equals 5. I've got all my y's together on the left. I got to get the number on the right. So I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides. That's a 5. So that cancels, and I've got 5y equals 5 minus 15 is negative 10. I've got y times 5, so if I divide by 5, then these 5's will cancel, and I've got y equals negative 10 divided by 5 is negative 2. So now I have solved for one of my variables.
Yep. So now
that I know what y equals, then I have to go back and find out what x equals. And so my final step here is that I plug that variable that I just solved for. I'm going to plug that into any of these equations and find my x. So if y equals negative 2, and usually when you do substitution, since we've already rearranged one of our equations for a variable, let's use that one. So let's take this equation here. X equals y, which we just figured out is negative 2, plus 5. Okay? So negative 2 plus 5 is positive 3. And then for our answer, what we could do, we could just say that x equals 3 and y equals negative 2, or it's simpler if we write it as an ordered pair. So this is acceptable. It's simpler if you just do this. Put your x and then your y with a comma in parentheses, and there we go.
Gotcha. Now I remember how to do it.
Cool. Yeah. It's so it's the same procedure. Let's do one where I have to rearrange something. Let's see. 13.2 or 13.3?
3 is easier, I think.
Let's do 13.2. 13.2, we've got 3x minus y equals 11, and 2x plus 3y equals negative 11. And those two equations go together. All right. Now, they did not give us an equation that looked like y equals stuff or x equals stuff. So that means we have to take one of these equations and rearrange it so we have one letter all by itself equals stuff. here's a tip. Look for a variable that does not have a number in front of it.
So y.
So I would not choose this equation to solve for x because at some point I would have to divide everything by 2. That's going to give me fractions. It's going to be ugly. Don't do it if you don't have to. Same story with if I solve for y in this equation. I would have to divide everything by 3. It's going to get ugly. This equation, if I solve for x, I would have to divide everything by 3. More ugliness. But the y doesn't have a number in front of it. So I'm going to take this equation and I'm going to solve it for y. All right, so I've got 3x minus y equals 11.
So
We'll put the 3x on the other side.
you have negative
So
y
backwards, we've got negative y
equals 11.
equals 11 minus 3x.
And then you do a negative 1 times.
Yep, I've got to deal with this negative. So if I just multiply both sides of the equation by negative 1, negative times a negative is a positive, and then I've got just y.
Equals negative.
Distribute that negative, negative 11 plus 3x. So now I know that y equals this. I've done my rearranging. All right, so then I'm going to take my other equation, which is 2x plus 3 times y, and y is
Negative 11.
this here. So I'm going to, and use parentheses. So y is negative 11 plus 3x. Let's finish it. Where were we? 2x plus 3 times y equals negative 11. All right? Then I got to finish solving this. So now I have one equation that only has x's in it. It doesn't matter whether you solve for x first or y first. So go for whichever one's easier. So I've got 2x. I need to distribute this. So I've got positive 3 times negative 11 is minus 33. Positive 3 times positive 3x is plus 9x equals negative 11. Gather my like terms. 2x plus 9x is 11x. Minus 33 equals negative 11. Put the 33 on the other side. So minus 33 plus 33 cancel. We've got 11x equals negative 11 plus 33 is positive 22. Divide both sides by 11.
X equals
My 11's cancel, and x equals 2. So there I've got one of them. We're supposed to do that in green. Oops. Pretend I did this in green.
y equals negative
X.
5.
X equals 2. All right. So I solved for my variable in green.
Y equals 2, or sorry, 6.
So now that I've solved for that variable,
Negative 5.
I can plug that into the other equation. So actually I could use any of these equations. Usually it's easiest to use the one that you already rearranged. So let's take this one here. Y, because that's what I'm looking for now, is y. I found x, now I need y. Y equals negative 11 plus 3 times x, which is 2. Okay, and negative 11 plus 3 times 2 is 6. Negative 11 plus 6 is negative 5. There's my y, and so for my final answer, again, this is just easier to see. My x is 2 and my y is negative 5. There we go.
You want to work on the lesson?
So you can work on a lesson. Actually, what I would like you to do is do a practice problem to make sure while you're here in class still. Who wants a whiteboard? Actually, here.
Would you like
Why don't we all just take a minute to do this, please?
to stop recording?
Ready for take the third one first. Oh, yeah, stop the video.